Today we went out to outside, just on the edge of Mecca, southeast of Mecca. We wanted to gain a little insight about how Meccans really live their life. And we wanted to go to a traditional Saudi house. Our tour guide, Waleed, showed us his wonderful house, and it was a traditional Saudi house. He showed us what traditional Saudi Arabian life was like.
ودي لي سلامي يا رايح للحرم وادعي لي وسلم لي على هادي الأمم ودي لي سلامي يا رايح للحرم وادعي لي وسلم لي على
First of all, to get out of Mecca into the mountainous areas, obviously you have to get past all the hajjis that are coming into Mecca, and subhanallah, that was very nice being amongst the crowds, but in some ways very difficult because it meant we couldn't actually get past all the people on the road. The road was so busy full of pilgrims, mashallah, coming into Mecca. So obviously to take a car out became quite a feat. So we had to get a taxi, and naturally all the taxis were busy. So it was really difficult in itself, just trying to hail a taxi and to get out of the city.
So Brother Waleed is trying to get a taxi here. He's just been asking, but it's pretty impossible. So many people want a taxi going to the haram or back to their hotel. It's baking hot, but we've got to try. We don't want to get run over. It's pretty scary, pretty chaotic. I don't know if we're going to get a taxi. We're just going to have to melt here in the road.
We can't take taxi from here because all the people, they want to take the U-turn, which is so hard for them. So we should go to the other side to go in the same way to our destination.
Brother Waleed tried his best. He was being our tour guide for today, and he was hailing a taxi, but of course this was very much more difficult than we expected. We thought we'd just, as you do in London, taxi, and it would stop. But it was so hard trying to get a taxi that wasn't already full of people, or that would actually just stop for us because they're on their way somewhere else.
You can see here so many people trying to squeeze in one taxi just to get a space. So Brother Waleed is still trying to get a taxi, but I mean, he's doing absolutely everything he can. He's waving, he's explaining there's we're only going a short distance, and that he will pay whatever they want, but that is still impossible to get a taxi. Alhamdulillah, we thought that was mission impossible, but Waleed pulled it off, mashallah. There were a few empty taxis, but to get where we wanted to go, they have to go right near the haram and U-turn round. But because it's so busy there with pilgrims and people making hajj, it's impossible to get through, so taximen don't want to do it. So the next mission is basically just to get around this U-turn and get to where we need to go. Inshallah, we can do it. Might be a bit scary, a bit hairy on the roads here, but inshallah we'll be able to make it. Beautiful here. We're on top of the mountains, and you can see in the distance at Mecca. Brother Waleed was saying at night time you can see the city lights of Mecca. Subhanallah. Alhamdulillah, we arrived at Brother Waleed's house. It was so lovely as we entered the house because, as you noticed, the hospitality of the Saudis straight away. There were dates, there was water, we had juice to drink. We were so well looked after from the minute we stepped into the house. And I find this is
quite particular to the Meccans and to this part of Saudi Arabia. They are very friendly and they do want to look after you. So we felt very welcomed, and of course we sat down on one of the lovely chairs, very comfortable. The whole surroundings were very comfortable, and Brother Waleed's nephew, Sulaiman, offered us drinks. And he's only 12 years old, mashallah, but he understood that when a guest comes, you look after them. Sulaiman offered us some gahwa, which is the Arabic name for the Saudi type of coffee that they serve. It's called gahwa, and it's an Arabic coffee, so it's not anything we're used to drinking. It's not that black coffee or that heavy black coffee that you get in Turkey. It's not even like our English filter coffee either. It's very, very different. It's a very light colour. And extremely delicious, but it does take some time to get used to. So we were served gahwa, which is what guests would be traditionally served in a Saudi house as they first enter. Brother Waleed's family had set out an absolutely wonderful lunch for us, which we did not expect. So we sat down and we joined in with eating some traditional Saudi food, and it's called kabsa. So that's like a rice dish cooked with chicken, and there's a little bit of spice in there, but it's not too hot. So it's not like an Indian curry or something that we're used to. It was very aromatic, and the chicken was cooked as a roast, but with the rice. And also we tried a little bit of lamb, and there was some fresh salad with coriander and lemon juice, which I really loved as well because I felt like it complemented the meat and the rice. We also tried some little snacks. They looked like little pizzas, but actually the dough that they used was very different. It was very soft and just had a slight sweetness about it, but it made an ideal snack on the side. And I think you're supposed to have that before the lunch, like a little appetizer, but we had it on the side because it just looked so delicious. Just going out on the balcony, which overlooked the mountains. So very beautiful view, spectacular views. And we're going to have a little look at a traditional Saudi tent, which they often use for an extra outside space if they have guests or a family meeting or just to relax. Here they're putting the water here for their animals that roam around?
Like the homeless animals.
The wandering stray animals and stray cats. That's so lovely. MashaAllah. As we were looking out over the views, we did notice a car had stopped and a father and his children got out and they were pouring water into a vessel. But there was nothing around, there was nobody there. So we wondered why they were doing this. Brother Waleed explained to us that quite often he sees this family come up to the mountains and pour some water out, and apparently they're leaving some water out for any stray animals that may be passing. And I just thought this was so lovely. This was such a lovely encounter because it just shows the true generosity of the Meccans. So that was lovely to see, and it was lovely to see the children, the boys, joining in and learning that they must look after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's world, including the animals on this earth. Brother Waleed decided to show us around the rest of the house, which is really interesting. In some ways it is like our houses we know back in the UK, but obviously there was a traditional Saudi style to it. It was very decorative, it was very smart and clean, and of course Brother Waleed's family added their own touch. We noticed that some of the rooms were actually quite well designed and had some very interesting ornaments and were quite artistically laid out. And Brother Waleed informed us that his mum is actually an artist, and you can really tell because she's put a lot of her own touches in the rooms, her own designs in the room, which really makes it very homely yet very personal to them as well. وحشنا يا رسول الله
محمد قلبي عليك صلى. شفت ياما ناس منى هتعيش العمر جنبك وبرضه ما يكفيش أحلى دنيا عندي ما تساويش إلا معاك يا رسول الله. وحشنا يا رسول يا سيدنا شوقنا زاد والله مهما طول الغياب محمد مشتاق إليك والله محمد قلبي عليك صلى. طال سؤالي قولي ازاي
We're just going into the kitchen where Layla, the chef, is going to show us how we make a traditional pot of Arabic coffee.
So we went into the kitchen, and in the kitchen, obviously, there were some spices around, and it was like a typical kitchen that we'd seen in England. But of course, right on the stove, there was the gahwa pot. Brother Walid and also his chef, Layla, showed us together how a traditional pot of Saudi coffee was made.
This is the Arabic beans, as you see here.
Oh, it is. It's real. The real coffee beans.
You can see that sort of green colour. So they haven't been roasted until they're black like other coffee. So the coffee that we're used to in England is often roasted till it's quite dark. But as you can see here, they're very pale and a sort of green tinge to them.
After we grind it, we get this powder. It's like it's enough to it's enough for 7 to 6 persons.
So it makes one pot.
Yeah, it's one pot. Yeah, we're gonna add this cup to this water.
هذا ملعقة صغيرة.
One.
Yeah, one. We put cardamom, which is mixed with some spices, and now we are waiting for the coffee to get ready.
You put milk in this one?
Yeah.
This is, I think, a Meccan way of doing this. I don't think they do this in Riyadh. This is nice. This is something different. Thank you. So half a glass of milk goes in here. We found that not only was cardamom put in, but also a little bit of milk. And I was surprised at this because I thought that gahwa, this Arabic coffee, was never made with milk. But apparently in this region, in this part of Saudi Arabia, just in Mecca, they do add a little bit of milk to give it some taste and a few other spices mixed in with the cardamom, although very gentle and very delicate, just to give it a little bit of flavour. And when you smelt it, it was so aromatic and so beautiful and so tantalising. We couldn't wait to drink it. But by then we were quite thirsty, but at the same time we wanted to save the gahwa because we wanted to take it outside to a date farm. We're off to the date farm now. I'm really excited about that. So we're going to go and see where the dates are collected and where they grow first, where they're collected. I'm really excited. So we're out here at the farm, alhamdulillah, but it's so peaceful and quiet. We're seriously in the middle of nowhere, so we have to be really careful of any scorpions or snakes. So we're not going to just put a hand under any old rock or anything, and we're just going to tiptoe very, very carefully. I'm a bit worried, to be honest. I'm holding my abaya just in case. So we went straight into the date farm. and had a little look at the palm trees, but I was quite surprised that they were very short palm trees, because as we looked over the wall you could just see the tops, so I imagined these huge trunks beneath holding up the palm branches. But as we peeped over the wall, we noticed the palm trees were actually really tiny.
This special palm tree for this kind of weather, because like here they usually they take this one, like this type, the short one, and there's other type which is like so long and huge, but like not in this area usually.
So we're now entering into the date farm area where the dates are growing on the palm trees, and I asked Walid earlier if there's a particular time of year that you harvest the dates, and he said no, you can harvest them all year round. So we're just going to find some really delicious dates and see if we can pick them and maybe eat them. These are ready to eat. They're not quite brown. These are at the beginning stages where it's still quite firm and green, but actually this is my favourite type because it's almost like a mixture between a date and an apple. Hopefully this is going to be delicious, inshallah. Bismillah. Really lovely. Still very sweet, a little bit crunchy, so you don't expect a date to be crunchy, but like this is super delicious. So I've just picked these dates off the tree, and some of them, as you can see, are brown, and some of them are at this green and yellow stage. But even at this beginning stage, they are still very delicious. They sort of taste a bit like a date and an apple together, a mixture of a date and an apple. That's what it tastes like. That's the best way I can describe it. Really delicious.
We gathered a few dates to bring back to the seating area where we had a little picnic with our gahwa and our dates, and also we ate some date cake, which was a traditional Meccan cake that was made with flour, butter and sweet dates. So it made the cake extremely delicious and went so well with the gahwa.
I'm just going to taste some of this lovely date cake. So made with dates and flour and probably a little bit of butter as well, but very simple ingredients which always make the best cakes, and obviously very fresh. Dates straight from the farm into the kitchen, and alhamdulillah we have a cake. See, look at the colour of that beautiful golden brown colour of dates. Really good. The gahwa really complements the cake because there's a sweetness to the dates in the cake. And of course the gahwa, you never put sugar in, you're not allowed to put sugar in it. So the gahwa and the sweet cake together really complement each other.
We did eventually make our way back to Mecca along the highway, but unfortunately we did get stopped a few times by the police, but I think they were just checking our passports, they were checking who's coming into Mecca, and they're just basically trying to keep order around this time when there are a lot of people coming in and out. We finally made our way back to Mecca, and alhamdulillah we got back in one piece. I learned quite a lot. It was a very interesting day, and I got to experience some wonderful sights along the way, some wonderful views, and also I experienced the hospitality of the Meccans. And what I didn't expect was how generous they are and how welcoming they are into their own homes, and how they would just really want to do anything for you. It will be a day I will never forget. Alhamdulillah.
ودي لي سلامي يا رايح للحرم وادعي لي وسلم لي على هادي الأمم ودي لي سلامي يا رايح للحرم وادعي لي وسلم